Hello! So whether you just started the game as a thaumaturge and looking to become a black mage, or looking to just try out the job, this guide is for you. This guide will be different from my usual Idiot's Guides 2 series, as I will be going more in depth on the earlier aspects of the job. This guide will only cover up to level 50, so without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start by talking about thaumaturge, up to level 30. After you've done some main story quests, class quests, or just out hunting monsters, you should eventually reach level 15. By that point, you'll have Blizzard, Fire, Transpose, Thunder, Blizzard 2, Scathe, and the role actions Addle, Sleep, and Lucid Dreaming. Your main DPS spell right now is Fire, because when you use it, you'll gain a stack of Astral Fire, putting you in your Fire phase, which will increase the potency of Fire, making it do more damage. However, while in Fire phase, you cannot regenerate MP, so when you run out of MP, you should use Transpose to switch into Umbral Ice phase. While in your Ice phase, you'll start gaining MP back. You can use Blizzard during Ice phase to keep doing damage while your MP is regenerating, or use Thunder to apply a 21-second dot or damage overtime to your target. If you're dealing with 2 or more enemies, you should use Blizzard 2, as that's your only AoE spell right now. You also have Scathe, which isn't really useful at any point in the game, so you can use it if you want to, but it's not useful at all. Going over the role actions, Addle will lower the target's magic damage by 10% and their physical damage by 5%. Addle is an extremely useful ability that helps mitigate damage from bosses. Since most of the early game bosses don't have easy tells for their moves, make sure to pay attention to the cast bars and watch what moves do raid-wide damage to the party, as most bosses will use that ability more than once, and if you're quick, you can catch it with Addle to mitigate the damage from it. Sleep isn't really useful unless you're trying to run away from an enemy, but most of the time, you could just get away by running. Lucid Dreaming is usually a great ability to have, but it's not useful on Thaumaturge or Black Mage, as you regenerate MP from Umbral Ice. Once you hit level 30, you get the Jobstone for Black Mage from your class quest. You can equip it by going to your character menu and clicking the bottom right slot of your character. By level 30, you'll have gotten Fire 2, Thunder 2, Mana Ward, and Mana Font, and the role action Swift Cast, plus some useful traits. Let's go over the abilities first. If you haven't figured it out yet, Fire 2 is your other AoE spell. This should primarily be used on 2 or more enemies, and be used over Blizzard 2, unless you're going into Ice phase to regenerate MP. Thunder 2 is an AoE version of Thunder. You should use this to apply a dot to all of the current enemies. Mana Ward will give you a pretty big shield. Mana Ward is a very useful ability, and should be used if you ever find yourself in a dangerous position and need to take a hit from something. Mana Font will regenerate 3000 MP. This is very useful to get more casts of fire out, so use it whenever you run out of MP while in fire phase. Going over Swift Cast, it'll make your next spell cast immediately. This should be used whenever you need to move around and cast a spell. Now let's go over the traits. Maim and Mend is a permanent damage and HP restoration bonus. You also have gotten access to your second stack of Umbral Ice and Astral Fire. And finally, Thundercloud. Whenever you cast Thunder, each time it ticks, which is around every 2 seconds, you have a 10% chance of getting a Thundercloud proc. Both Thunders will have an orange dotted border around them when it procs. Thundercloud will allow you to cast Thunder with no cast time and have no MP cost. This is very useful, as it makes it much easier to reapply the dot after it's fallen off of the enemy. So make sure to watch the dot timer on your target and use the Thundercloud proc in order to reapply it. If you manage to not get a proc, just cast Thunder normally to reapply the dot. Thunder 2 will have a 3% chance to proc, since you can apply it to multiple targets. Oh yeah, if you're enjoying the video so far, you should subscribe and leave a like. I also stream on Twitch every week, so you should stop on by. Anyways, before jumping to level 50, let's go over what you got at level 35, which is Fire 3, Blizzard 3, and your last stack of Umbral Ice and Astral Fire. Fire 3 and Blizzard 3 will give you full stacks of Astral Fire and Umbral Ice respectively, while in Fire phase, you should still use Fire 1 as opposed to Fire 3, as Fire 3 has a much higher MP cost. For Ice phase, continue to use Blizzard as well. The main benefit to having these two abilities is that swapping between Ice phase and Fire phase will cost no MP, and have a much faster cast time. This pretty much negates the use of Transpose, however, you can use it while moving around in dungeons in order to keep a stack of either so you don't lose it completely. Fire 2 and Blizzard 2 will also now give you 3 stacks of Astral Fire and Umbral Ice respectively. Now jumping ahead to level 50 Black Mage, this is where you could start doing your core rotation loop. By this point, you should have gotten Freeze, Thunder 3, Flare, Ethereal Manipulation, the roll action Sure Cast, and a few more traits. Freeze is an extra AoE spell that you can use while in your ice phase. Thunder 3 is a direct upgrade to Thunder, where the initial damage from applying the dot is slightly bigger, but the dot time is longer. Flare will cost all of your remaining MP, and is basically a big finishing move for your fire phase that also does AoE damage. Flare can only be used when you have 800 or more MP, so make sure to use it when you cannot cast any more fires, or if your next fire will make you go under 800 MP. Ethereal Manipulation will allow you to transport yourself to another party member. You can use this ability by clicking on a party member and then using the ability. If you're on controller, you can target your party members by moving up and down on the D-pad and then using the ability. You can use Ethereal Manipulation to escape to your friends if you're caught in an AoE, or if you're lagging behind in a dungeon. The last roll action Sure Cast will make it so your spells cannot be interrupted and you're negated from most knockback and draw-in effects for 6 seconds. This ability is useful for its second effect, which is negating knockbacks. This doesn't happen very often in the early game, but some bosses have mechanics where you get knocked back, so use Sure Cast to nullify that. Onto the traits. You get an upgrade to Maim and Mend, meaning more damage. You also get Firestarter, which will make Fire have a 40% chance of giving you a Firestarter proc. Firestarter will allow you to use Fire 3 with no MP cost and no cast time. This is very helpful for switching between Ice Phase to Fire Phase, as it'll be an instant cast. You can also use it if you manage to lose Fire Phase altogether. However, at this current level, you could just use it whenever it comes up, as you're going to be casting Fire a lot anyway, and you don't want to waste those procs. At this point, you'll probably be going through the hell that is post-ARR, meaning you're going to be stuck with your level 50 abilities in dungeons, trials, and raids, until you hit Heaven's Ward. So let's go over your main rotation for level 50. Whenever starting any encounter, you should use Fire 3 in order to gain 3 stacks of Astral Fire, then cast Thunder. Start spamming Fire until your MP gets low, and use your Fire 3 procs when they come up, or hold one. Use Mana Font to gain an extra cast or 2 of Fire. Then end Fire Phase with Flare. Cast Blizzard 3 to go into Ice Phase. Cast Blizzard once. Then reapply Thunder. Then cast Fire 3 to go back into Fire Phase. Repeat until the enemy is dead. Now let's go over the AoE rotation. Start off by casting Fire 2 to gain 3 stacks of Astral Fire. Then cast Thunder 2 to apply the dot to all the enemies. Spam Fire 2 until your MP is low, then cast Flare to end the Fire Phase. Cast Blizzard 2 to go into Ice Phase, cast Freeze, then reapply Thunder 2. Then cast Fire 2 to go back to Fire Phase. Repeat until everything is dead. And that'll mainly sum up everything up to level 50. The rest of Black Mage is super fun, and if this is your first time playing, or first time on Black Mage, you have a lot to look forward to. It's pretty chaotic at times, but overall, it's a really fun caster. So I really hope you continue with your adventures on Black Mage, and I'll see you again soon. Bye! Hey everybody! If you enjoyed the video, you should consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. I have links to my Discord and other social media in the description below. Thanks so much for watching.